Hi, welcome to the Kim Sunshine Show. I am super excited to have this superstar guest with me today. This is Lisa Byer.
Hello, Kim.
And she's with New York Life. And how long have you been with New York Life?
Just over a year now.
1 year? And what made you get into, were you doing insurance before you started with New York Life?
I had my license, but not actively using it.
So this last year, I'm seeing you everywhere. You're in my BNI group, which I absolutely love. And I'll tell you, she's one of the best. I think she's one of the best in BNI. When she gives her 30-second commercial, I think she's absolutely phenomenal.
I work very hard.
Well, the thing is you're so articulate and clear that I love it. And you also say the seat that you hold, which I think is also
I hold the life insurance seat.
Yes, you do. So now I didn't realize you were only doing this for 1 year.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I work very hard at changing careers.
And what were you doing before you started New York Life, if you don't mind?
The thing that I was doing the very, very longest, believe it or not, was actually working at Carnival Cruise Lines.
Oh, one of my favorite subjects. Okay, so tell us about the cruise line.
I worked at Carnival Cruise Lines for over 11 years.
Were you in sales?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yes,
so can you tell us secrets on how to get deals? Hold on, she might know something. Is it?
Well, the real key is to travel when kids are in school.
So you can get lower prices while the kids are in school if you want to take a cruise on Carnival Cruise Lines.
Absolutely.
And we just have a new cruise person with Expedia Cruises who joined our BNI.
Campbell.
And we can help you, introduce you to her, and she can set you up with all kinds of cool things. And she's given different bonuses and perks if you use her to set your cruise. So that's kind of cool. I think she was saying that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So how long are you with Carnival?
11 years.
Wow.
Yep.
Good for you.
Yep. Best vacation.
So was it COVID that kind of changed your career?
No, I actually had left there to go and work at a company, a cord blood bank, because they had recruited me when I got my master's to help train their sales team.
Okay.
But that was not a good long-term plan because they were not a very ethical company.
Okay, so you left. Yeah. Integrity is so important.
Integrity is very important.
So Lisa and I just sat here and we had, I don't know, a long conversation, and it was funny because both of our schedules cleared so that we could spend more time together today. And I'm so thankful because she is a brilliant, brilliant woman. If you have not met Lisa Byer yet with New York Life, make sure that you take some time to get to know her. But we just enjoyed the conversation. I could hang out with you for hours and not ever get bored. So, but it's good to see someone who has a good heart and a heart for integrity. And I'm glad that, it takes a lot to leave a job based on integrity, but you did, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, there's other big news happening in your world. So you play bass.
Yes.
So this is new information. You play bass for your church.
Yes, I do. And sing.
And sing. So tell us about your church a little bit.
So my church is Relevant Church in Daytona. And when we moved here from Georgia, my they started out saying that they wanted to start another branch, and it so happens that branch just opened in Palm Coast.
How cool is that? And your pastor is Pastor Chris and Liz Sarno.
Correct.
And I have had the pleasure of meeting Pastor Chris and actually sitting in church under his teaching when my brother was going there. This was way back when I lived in Tennessee. And one of the cool things about Pastor Chris is that he is straightforward. He comes from a New York background, so he does not hold back anything. He tells it like it is, but he also speaks it in a language that is easy for everybody to understand.
Very down to earth.
Matter of fact.
Very relatable.
Yes, exactly. Yes. But he doesn't hold back any punches either.
Correct.
Like he's not going to candy coat anything. If you don't want he'll tell you the truth, and that's one of the things that we need as Christians. We need that shepherd that's going to tell us the truth. Yeah, if you go in that mud, you're going to get dirty. I mean, some don't tell.
Yeah, true. True.
But yes, exactly. So now, how long is well, let me not ask that. Let me ask about the church here. What time does it start, and where are services being held currently?
Currently, the services are being held in the Palm Coast Community Center.
Right in the heart of Palm Coast.
Yep. Service starts at 11:45.
11:45 a.m. on Sunday mornings.
On Sunday mornings.
So if you wake up late and you're trying to get to your church, you can always make it at 11:45 to head on over to Relevant Church that's meeting at the Palm Coast Community Center on Palm Coast Parkway.
That's right.
So now you're on the praise team there. So if we come, we're going to get to see Lisa up there. And are you going to be singing or playing the bass?
Both.
Both. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So she wears a lot of different hats.
Yes, I do. I need 8 arms and 8 legs.
Yeah. Well, you would look a little weird. I know how smart you are. You could probably figure out a way to pull it off. But you're doing great with your 2. So now tell me about your Christianity. How long have you been saved?
Since I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give away my age, but I'm up there.
It's been a couple years.
Yeah.
At least 5.
Yeah.
So, and at that point, did you make a complete surrender at that time, or was that just kind of getting to know of God, and then you got more in depth later in your life?
Well, my dad's a pastor.
Oh, a preacher's kid.
Yeah, in Barbados.
In Barbados.
But the difference between myself and other preacher's kids is that my dad's philosophy is that outside of the home was one thing, but his priority was that his children needed to have a personal relationship with Christ.
Beautiful.
And so from young, that was his priority.
Yes.
Right. So there was no one foot in church and one foot out.
Good.
That was not tolerated. So once you surrendered, you were all in.
So, but he gave you the opportunity to wait till you were 15. Did he start pastoring when you were 15 or before?
He started pastoring probably when I was like 19.
Oh, okay. So after you gave your surrender.
Right,
okay.
Right. But from very young, it was always about personal relationship with Christ.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So we hear these mythical stories about people who are raised in a Christian home, and so here I am sitting with a real fine example of what happens when you bring your children up the right way that they should go. And the more I sit and talk with Lisa, she has a huge future in front of her, and I know you're going to be greatly successful at whatever you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I appreciate also your integrity, your insight, and your heart for everybody. I mean, there's not a lot of people that you meet that just have a big heart for everybody, and that's Lisa Byer.
Thank you. Well, everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
You might not know their story, you might not understand their story, and sometimes you got to be a little bit more patient with some than others. And you might not like me, but you might need to give me a little bit more TLC. It's like marriage. I have this theory on marriage. Don't laugh. Okay?
Let's hear.
But I have this theory on marriage.
Well, tell us about your marriage first. How long have you been?
We've been married for 27 years.
Exactly. That's why I wanted you to let everybody know that you are qualified to give this response. Because if you're getting marriage advice from someone who's never been married, I promise their advice might be a little tainted.
That is true.
Yeah. So 27 years is not an easy feat.
True.
So now Lisa's going to give us some advice and insight onto how to maintain.
So I say marriage is you are like 2 pieces. One of you is a piece of wood. Now this is totally my theory. Don't laugh. Okay. One of you is a piece of wood,
mm-hmm.
and one of you is a chisel.
Okay.
Okay. But by the time God is finished with you, you are just simply a piece of art.
Oh, that's beautiful. Can I add to that a little bit?
Go ahead.
I'll try my best, because I was married for 20 years, and
Awesome.
It takes work for that. It did end a divorce, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad to say, but it happens, and I know that God forgives us and has other things for us at times.
But guess what? The chisel doesn't think it feels good, or when the wood is rubbing against it.
Right.
And the wood doesn't love when the chisel is rubbing against it.
Well,
it doesn't feel good at all.
So what I'm thinking with your analogy is sometimes you'll be the wood and he'll be the chisel, and then other times He'll be the wood and you'll be the chisel. Or did I say you were the chisel both times?
Well, it doesn't matter.
It's interchangeable. That
Correct.
sometimes that you guys are both refining and making art of each other.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
So in the end, you're just one piece of art that God reflects on and said, "Look at that beautiful work of art."
That's wonderful.
Exactly.
I love that.
It's just my theory, though.
Well, let's get one more because you have been married for 27 years
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people who are in the marriages right now. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that no marriage is all,
It's not all up.
the stars and moons.
Definitely
Sometimes
not.
you have to go in the river.
Correct.
So if you were to have any other piece of advice, what would you give?
One piece of advice I would give is do not let a third party into your relationship.
Okay.
Regardless. I don't care if it is your mother who may have her best interests at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it is your daddy,
Mm-hmm.
your grandma. What we always used to say was, let's love God
Mm-hmm.
and love each other,
Yes,
and everything will be all right.
exactly.
Full stop. Your only third party in your marriage should be God.
Should be God. Exactly. A 3-cord strand is not easily broken.
Correct. That's it.
So you have children?
Yes. I have 3 children. I have my son, Carlisle, and 2 daughters, Stacy and Danielle.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And are they all in the Florida area as well?
My son just moved here last week.
Wow.
But everybody's here now.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, congratulations. I'm sure that makes you very happy with the holidays coming.
Yes.
Exactly. So, Lisa, I want to thank you so much for being on my show today. I really appreciate
my pleasure.
And I would love to have you come back another time and tell us some more. And as you start, if you start thinking of some insights, because you've been married 27 years, and that's not an easy thing to do in today's world. I would love for you to give 3 tips on marriage. just for people who are married. I don't know why I'm hanging out on that because here I am, single as could be right now. Yeah. But I know that sometimes in relationships, if you don't have God as your center, or you don't have direction, or maybe it was that the relationships that you have seen were not successful or were out of balance, or not Christ centered.
Yeah.
Or you didn't have direction, it can be very, very challenging.
Correct.
And those are some of the challenges are very normal challenges that people go through. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know how to get through them, and Lisa obviously has been through a bunch.
And sometimes you also need not to judge yourself or be angry.
Yes.
At what happened in the past, and how do you recover from hurt or past relationships as well too. A lot of people get stuck there. You know? And the other thing I would definitely say, a lot of people are going through an issue of trying to raise kids.
Yes. And today's a crazy world.
You could advise on that too.
Yes. Yeah, well, listen, I can tell you what, as far as kids go, I have no kryptonite in the world. My kids are my kryptonite. That's all I know.
They can
hit my heart like no one else can. And and I don't know that as a kid I ever knew that, and even as an adult child, I feel it more than I did when the kids were younger. And, kids are amazing. It's a lot of fun. Enjoy them while they're little because they sure do grow up fast.
Yeah. And then back to marriage, there's some things that you cannot plan for, like illness.
Sure.
Like my husband's waiting for a heart transplant. We couldn't have planned for that.
Right.
Right. So there's so many things that you just can't plan for, but without God, how would you survive? How would you surmount it?
Right.
Right. And so that's why God has to be at the center.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
And don't take advice from people who are not Christ-centered. Just don't.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody knows how to fix everything. And in the reality, they don't.
Correct.
They don't. But everybody's got an opinion. That's one of the things my mom taught me. She's like, opinions are like, well, I'm not going to say exactly what she said, but everybody's got one.
Yes, everybody's got one.
And then you know what else my mom used to say? And I think this really has helped me in my teenage life. Because I've always been a little outspoken and opinionated, and I've been who I am my whole life. So that didn't just change with me being an adult, but it definitely helped me in my teenage years, and then all the way through adulthood was consider the source. Like if somebody says something, consider that source, and do they even have the authority or the right to speak into your life or to speak about you? Why would you waste time with anything that has no authority or has no power. And, I see so many times that people give more power to something that is said than the value that it actually has,
Yes.
or it rocks their world, or turns them upside down.
Is it the truth what they're saying? Is it the truth? Is it really the truth?
Exactly.
The ultimate truth that is spoken over you is always going to be said by God.
Yep.
Not by a human being.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't take it. Don't accept it.
Exactly. So, as far as your walk with God, what do you do in your prayer time? Are you reading the Bible? Are you spending? If you don't mind me asking, I know I'm getting really personal.
That's okay.
So, what disciplines do you follow? Because you said that your father really was expecting that relationship with God from you, and what did you do to nurture that over the years?
Well, interestingly enough, this is something that I tell people when I'm going to go somewhere really strange. Okay.
Go ahead, you're fine.
So a lot of young women, they're craving to get married.
Okay.
And they're all, I want to get married. I want to get married. And I say, travel. Get some hobbies. Do all of these things now and really, really get into the Word.
Yes.
And study the Word and pray and do all those things now.
Yes.
Because it's pretty hard to do and juggle all of those things while you're bouncing a baby on your hip.
Exactly.
And juggling a career.
It's true.
And a house and all those things. So the foundation is already, all those things are already in me. Right? So I don't have to spend all day reading the Word now.
Right.
I start my day with a scripture and a prayer. And through the day, I check in.
Okay.
I check in.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that was, okay, God, I thought about that. Let me just say a quick prayer.
Okay.
Okay. When I go to bed, I do a quick prayer. And Pastor Chris actually has this Chris Sarno app where at noon he checks in and prays with us.
Oh, that's nice.
Right.
So if you need some accountability and someone to help you, shore up your prayer life, get with is it Chris Sarno app? So you could just search for his name. It's spelled Sarno. So so type in Chris Sarno. Is it on Google and Apple Play?
That's right.
Wow. Okay, so that's fantastic.
Yep. You just at noon, this reminder comes in. Hey, have you prayed? And he prays with you.
That's
and he sends
wonderful.
a scripture every morning. And if I don't get to it during the day, because who knows, I might be in a meeting at noon.
Sure.
You know, I make sure I check in by the end of the night. And of course, because I'm a worship leader, at night, I'm always doing some sort of worship on the bass or something. So this is how I stay in touch.
Beautiful.
Right?
Absolutely beautiful.
But where I went was, don't drive yourself crazy and trying to be like, oh, I gotta be perfect. That ain't nothing, but that's not God.
That's right. There's only one that's perfect, and that's
Correct.
Jesus. So the rest of us can strive for that.
Correct.
We should be comparing ourselves not to other people, but always only to Christ.
Yeah.
But he's the only one who was ever perfect. So as hard as you try, you ain't going to do it.
Yeah. You just try to be better every day than you were the day before. Full
and
stop.
be as sanctified as you can.
Correct. Correct. Because you're going to mess up.
Okay, so I'm going to go into another area, and it's one of the Bible studies I was in. One of the gentlemen was wondering how I know when I'm hearing from God. So I thought that was a great question, and with your background, I think that you might be a good person to answer that. So how do you hear from God? When God speaks to you, how do you hear it?
Well, I'm probably a little abnormal because from very young, I would have a knowing in my heart when something was right or wrong. But I'm a little, I don't know. I don't think I'm a normal person because like when
You're very normal. Well, I'm not seeing it, Lisa. I see you as absolutely 100% normal.
No, because there's certain things that will happen to me that I don't think are relatable. Like when my son was in like an accident at school, I saw it before it happened. I literally saw it.
Okay.
With my eyes wide open, I saw it.
Okay, so maybe you are abnormal.
Right. So I'm a little bit abnormal, right?
So now when you were told about it, you saw it, and were you comforted or warned that were you told?
So when I was in the car line at my son's school, and the principal was calling me out of the car line, directing my car out, and she was like kind of panicked, and she said, don't worry, he's okay. I said, I know he's okay.
Okay, so you already knew that he was okay. So what?
And that there was blood involved.
Okay.
Because I already saw it.
Okay.
Right? And she's looking at me like, how do you know that? I said, you need to calm down. He's okay. And she's looking at me like, what? How do you know? Because I already saw it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So so that's why I said I'm a little abnormal.
Did you know it was going to be that day at the school?
I didn't know when it was going to be.
When it was going to, and you saw it like how.
But when she started acting a certain way, I was like, oh my God, I saw this already.
There it is. This. Exactly. So how long before that did you?
It was like a few minutes before I got there. I saw this. I saw this playing out, and I was like, oh no, what is this? And when she started doing it, I was like, oh,
here it is. We're here.
But I had been already comforted in my heart that he was going to be fine.
I'm telling you what, God totally did that for me when Paulo passed away. And it was just like a sequence of events that were unexplained. There's no coincidence. I mean, for that many things to happen and be a coincidence, for me to have so much comfort and peace when he passed away. I mean, he was so young, just 48 years old, at 48 with a heart attack. His dad was 53 when he passed away of a heart attack. Wow. So we thought he had more time, but God rest his soul, and I'm thankful for the time that I had with him. But I'm especially thankful to God for, like, he gave me answers to prayers I didn't even pray yet. Wow. I already knew the answer. So, come when he had passed, and now I have to make all the funeral arrangements because he had no other family here, and get him to Portugal. Like, everything was already lined up. I already knew exactly what to do and how to handle it and how to do everything. And the only way that something like that happens so clear is with it being God. Yeah. And same thing with your explanation for your son.
Yeah. And that's so just generally during the day, if I get a message or I know, okay, I need to go talk to that person, I just go over there and I say, okay, hi. And you never know. Sometimes someone feels very alone.
Sure.
And you never know. That could be the last day that person had planned on being on this earth.
Yep.
I'll never forget, there was this lady and I walked over to her and I went up to her and I said, hey, can I give you a song? And I gave her this very encouraging song.
So when you say gave a song, did you sing it?
No, there was a song that I had heard on an award show.
So you gave the name to her for her?
I actually had it on my phone and I shared the song.
So she shared the song.
I shared the song with this lady. And a couple of days later, someone that I know and we both knew had killed themselves.
Oh.
And she came to my mind. And I was like, why, God? So I called her up, and as I called her up, I said, what happened to him? Because I knew he had died.
Right.
And she said, he killed himself.
Oh.
He had committed suicide. And she was sobbing on the phone.
Sure.
And she said, I want to tell you something. That day when you gave me that song, and I looked so happy, and you didn't know why you gave me that song, and you couldn't understand why you were giving me that song, I was pretending to be happy. I intended to go home and kill myself.
Oh my gosh. So you saved her life that day.
And that song,
oh my gosh.
That song, when I heard the words, I cried and I cried and I cried because she'd been separated from her children.
Yeah, that's so hard.
Because she had done drugs and she was in jail and whatever. She's lost custody of her kids.
Right.
And she literally was going to hurt herself that day.
Right.
And that song stopped her.
Wow. That's amazing.
So when her friend did something to himself, it just was like, that could have been me.
She understood the magnitude of it.
Right.
Wow. And then God not only put it on your heart to give her that song out of the blue, but then to call her to check on her after that situation happened.
Right. So sometimes just going and saying hello to somebody, sometimes giving a smile, sometimes going up, hi, how are you?
Right.
You don't know what somebody's going through.
Exactly.
Sometimes they're just alone and they just need somebody to smile and be friendly, be a warm connection to somebody. Wow. You just don't know.
So if you want to visit the church that built that and is a part of that and where she goes to church, they've just come to Palm Coast. They are meeting right now on Sundays at 11:45 at the Palm Coast Community Center. It is called Relevant Church, and Pastor Chris and his wife Liz Sarno run the church, and Lauren is running.
She's part of the
praise and worship team.
Yes.
Okay, so that is fantastic. We're super excited to have you guys here. And Lisa, I'm super excited for your career change a year ago.
Yes.
And I know that you're going to be hugely successful. I just see your heart. I see how well you carry yourself. And that you know what you're doing, girl. You know what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. We have to wait.